everybody, my name is Sherry. Welcome to my stamp studio. Welcome to June. How did June get to be here so quickly? I think especially when you have major events in your life that you've been planning towards and looking forward to, and then they're over. It's kind of like, all right, now we're totally back to full reality. So we did get back on late Sunday night from our trip to Scotland, England, and Norway. The Norway part was part of the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip. The first half was a family vacation because the Stampin' Up! Trip left from England. So since our airfare was covered to get there, the kids joined us. My daughter got engaged. It was a really good time. As I'm so busy this week, all I would like to do is just sit up by my pool and work on pictures of the trip and post them for you guys to see. But that's not like how life goes. So over time, I will be adding pictures from all of the parts of the trip to my website. So I probably won't today. We have company coming from Australia tomorrow. And our guest room is my daughter's old bedroom, which is also kind of like where I switch wardrobe clothes, where we pack, to where I have a lot of Stampin' Up! Stuff that is retired and I just shove it in there. So that room definitely needs to be tended to. And I still don't have any flowers in pots. I don't have any hanging baskets, so I have to go to the grocery. We're having people over tomorrow for a fun dinner to welcome Mick here. So as much as I would like to post pictures of my trip, reality hits. So let's talk about June real quick. Stampin' Up! Has some specials, and I'll get to those. My specials for this month, and I didn't bring the levels over. And because of the way the new catalog came out, and I so quickly ordered the stuff that I needed for my Try It class, that's what I have. And I have a lot of like used stuff. I don't have necessarily stamps that go with paper. I was going to do the Father's Day paper today because it's part of the paper sale. I didn't get the Father's Day stamp bundle because I wasn't using it, the fishing one, for the Try It class. So I kind of need to also, over the weekend, once things get a little bit more quiet, I'm going to take my catalog out by the pool and I'm going to do my first real catalog order because I haven't. All the stuff I got was either for club or for Try It class. So this stuff I'm going to show you today is kind of cut up. So in June, use my host code shop on my website, and at $50, you are going to get the opaque ovals. You can see there are yellow ones. These are what's left from all of the stuff we cut up for the class. So I'm going to try to use some of this stuff up. I have a goal because often, it's hard to count hundreds of little embellishments as you're cutting them up. So I end up with things like this. I'm using these on today's card because sometimes the catalog's over and things retire and I still have them like this. And I want to use them. So at $50, you will get the opaque ovals. Just use the host code. It doesn't count shipping and handling and tax. It's merchandise. You will also get the VIP video project, and those I sent my thank you gifts out at the beginning, so these will go out in July. I'm getting ready to work on June's. It's one of, for May. Do the June thank you gifts. That's another thing on my to-do list for early next week. So $50 you get this and the VIP video project. Now the way I do it is if you spend $50 on stuff early in the month and then you purchase more at the end of the month, I add up everything that you purchased from my website or merchandise, or if you call an order in. It doesn't include class fees or club fees. So at $200 then, you don't have to use the host code if your order's over $150, but you are going to get the sheer ribbon combo pack at $250. You also get this, and then you get the second VIP video project. So you'll have both. Everybody who orders, no matter how much, gets the video to see the two projects, and then it depends on if you qualify. And then every month I do a new month special. So for this month, because the paper is on sale and because I have a lot of paper of different sheets that I didn't use for Try It, I'm going to do a third VIP video project. So just spend $50. Again, everybody will see the project if you purchase later on in the month. But you'll get a third project to follow along with me on your private video. And that will be from the 1st, so from today through the 4th. So then Stampin' Up! Has two specials. Let's talk about the Join special first because it kind of ties into the Try It class. I have, I think, maybe 5 packets left from that I created extra for anybody who would join my team. So Stampin' Up! Has a special right now. The starter kit's still $99. It's almost always $99. And you get to pick more stuff. I think I should have looked. I think it's around $150 of what you pick. And you pick it and you put it in there. And I'll have all of the details about being a demonstrator, whether or not you want to do it just to get the discount, which is fine. A lot of the girls on my team do it that way, and that's completely acceptable. Or if you want to do it just a little bit here and there, which is what I did for a long time, or if you're looking to for something to kind of fill your days, we have everybody in my particular group. So there is that special, and I will talk more about it as the month goes on. There's just a lot in this video. And then there is a paper sale on Designer Series paper. So I'm going to use this one today. It's 15%. It's not off of all of them, but it's off of most of them. So if you're on my website or on my email, you can see which ones are on sale. So today I am going to use the Masterfully Made. Is that the name of the paper? Yes, the Masterfully Made 12 by 12 paper. Now this paper is a love it or hate it. I fully recognize that because sometimes the busy papers can be like that. But I also want you to think about, unless you're scrapbooking a 12 by 12 piece, when you use the busy papers, you're never using a full sheet. And this paper I think is super fun. My husband did not care for it at all. None of the guys did, because we had people. I still have patterns in here. So if you did try it, you can see lots of the spare pieces. But I do kind of want to show it to you, the paper. Here's the template from the card. I feel like I need a week to readjust from being on vacation. And it didn't help that it was new catalog. There's the rest of the template. So let's take a look at this paper. It's bright, it's shiny, and like you can see on this, it's torn pieces of paper that they tore the paper and then they took the photograph of. So this is a busy piece of paper, but you're never going to put all this on your card, right? So you're just going to have sections. You can make a tag out of it. You can just cut strips of it. So you don't have to use it all. I know it's a lot to look at. And I love Berry Burst. That's one of our returning colors. I think this is Lemon Lime Twist. It could be one of the others. And then these fun little pieces here. I almost used this piece on today's card because I love this. And then you can also cut these out. They have a real 3D effect, even if they're not 3D on your card. Here we have Peacock. Let's see if I can remember the colors. This is my very favorite piece of paper out of this. And it's beautiful. So obviously a 4 by 5 1/4 isn't going to get the whole. So I would lose some of this and have this really pretty, the green up here. And then we have some freesia. And then I love this piece too. It has a Rifle Paper Company feel to it. Again, you're not going to put this whole thing on a card. And I'm going to do my little vellum trick on today's to kind of tone it down, because I know some of you were like, oh, that's a lot. Like, this paper confused the heck out of my husband because there was no way, and I guess I don't have any of the paper left that I used on today's card. I do. Hang on, let me go get it. When you do the try it class, then I show it one piece of every piece of paper. In theory, sometimes we accidentally cut all of it, but this was the one piece. So here's the one I'm going to use on today's card, and I think I love this piece of paper. So my first one, I cut it 4 by 5 1/4. So one of them is obviously going to be much more floral, and then you have the chance, if you want, to have one have more of the shades of blue in it. And then there's the other side of that one. So that's the one I'm going to use on today's. I've already cut it down, so you're going to get to see both versions of it. I don't have the stamp set. I don't have the dies that go with it, so we're going to just use something else. And then on the first card, I used, these are the in color dots. So that's the boho blue. But then I also have a lot of these because I thought, oh, well, those match the paper really well too. And it's because they go with the paper. So when I opened up the catalog, see, I didn't take a catalog on the trip with me. But I just wanted to disconnect, but I disconnected so much that I'm having a hard time remembering what my job is. I'm going to use Courage and Faith. I've used it once before, so you can go see the other one that I did. And then I have, this is a real fast card. I have Boho Blue, which is one of the new in colors. So put this here. And then look how pretty this is. So I know that pack of paper, for some of you, especially if you have any kind of sensory issues, can be like, whoa. But when you just take the little piece here, this is beautiful paper. And then we have the nice, just solid ones on the other side. I was going to try to put both of them in here. I'm trying to get this card done quickly so I can move on to the rest of my to-do list. And then I have a piece of vellum. And this, I do this a lot when I use our busier papers because I love the paper and I want to use the paper, but I need to get the stamps on there. So we're going to do our stamping on this little bit of vellum here. And then I'm going to just show you a couple of tips and tricks, because if you never got a Stamparatus and now you can't get one, or if you just don't want to get your Stamparatus out because you already have it, this one doesn't really need it. So if you pull the grid paper out, and you can buy this in the back of the catalog, maybe not this size anymore. This may be the Stamparatus size, but we have larger sizes. So I'm just going to line it so it is like straight on here. I'm not going to use any adhesive. It's not that deep. The paper's busy. That's a benefit to using busy paper, is that stuff doesn't have to be super straight. Then I'm going to use white, the Whisper White ink. You could use Versamark, except then it's harder to see if you got it on here. So now I can see the lines, and I can kind of make this be straight from tip to tip here. I'm leaving room at the top for my ribbon. So we have that. And if you did it in Versamark, you would be able to see it a little bit. But you guys wouldn't be able to see me doing it. Now I have this scripture. There's 4 different scriptures in this set. So this one, sometimes when you get your stamps, you can look, and this one is pretty straight with the way it was machine cut. If it's not straight machine cut, you can always take your scissors and straighten it up. So I'm going to take this on here because I want to be able to stamp it straight on here. I'm not using any kind of lining tool. So I'm going to lay this on here, and I'm going to make the top of my stamp. And there's the little offcuts from my embellishments from the first card. So just lay this so it goes straight across there, then pick it up that way. And now you know that this is straight. And now because I'm using vellum, I can put this on here. I'm going to line this up with a straight line right there. And now I have this straight. I'm going to grab this. There's 2 different directions for the ease of time, and because I'm still a little jet lagged, I'm still a little tired, I thought I don't think it really matters if I use the one that goes the opposite direction. And I'm going to do the same thing because I went tip to tip. And I just kind of lined them up towards one of the straight lines. And so now everything's pretty straight. So the white ink is a craft ink. It takes a while to dry on here, so you have lots of time to kind of mess with the stamping. You don't have to go quick. I take my white embossing powder and my embossing additions toolkit. If it is muggy in your house, because we're getting in that time of year, we've gone from the dry, we've moved on to the muggy, then you might have wanted to take this and rubbed it over. I didn't have an issue with my first one. I got it out, and then both my cats were on the table, so I didn't have a lot of space. So I was working, and I forgot to use it, and then it didn't need it. So, but if your hands are oily or if it's muggy in your house, it's always a good idea to use the embossing buddy, and that comes in the kit. Now we're just going to heat this. In there, it's all nice and beautiful and white. So I want to show you a couple of different ways if you're doing this. It's pretty just on regular cardstock. Here it is on the back of this. So it's a little bit more obvious, this, but I want to use it with this. And I think the white holds its own well. Now you don't have to do anything else. You could stop here if you want, but I want to color a little bit of color into my floral parts. Now I'm going to use blends. You can use markers and color on the front side or Stampin' Rant markers. I don't have them in all the new colors yet, so I opted for blends, but you can't use blends with embossing powder. You can try, and as soon as you start, then you'll remember, oh, I can't, because it just kind of erases the embossing powder, and it's not good for your blend tips, or I would show you. But if you accidentally forget and you try, then it's just going to disappear. So I have Berry Burst, and I'm going to do my flowers in Berry Burst. And you don't have to really stay in the lines. You just kind of want to get every place that is like in the centers of those. And because I did the same thing twice, mine are exactly mirror images of each other. So 1, 2, and 3. The nice thing about the blends on the vellum is that they dry pretty quickly. Now I'm going to kind of switch this card up a little bit so we have 2 different looks. On the other one, I did my leaves in the boho blue. This time I'm going to do my little swirlies. And there's like just little dots in this stamp. So I am just adding some blue right behind them. Just quick. Now, if you're putting this on a more solid piece of paper, you could take a little bit more time. Maybe go back and add a little bit of highlight or even put some of the Stampin' Right marker on top. Just kind of give it more of a stained glass look. Let me get my brush tip, and this is the peacock. And I'm just going to do the insides of my leaves. Again, you don't have to... The other side is going to contain the line, so as long as you stay inside those lines, it'll look like you colored in the lines. I know it looks like I'm doing a hot mess right now. So we have that, and you can see it is not a work of art. So let's take a look at it here, and you can kind of see. Oh, my cats have been, you know, you leave your animals for 2 weeks and then they act like you might leave them again. So they're very, very needy at the moment. Have this. Let's add it to our. Isn't that beautiful? Now for the, come on, let's hop it. I'm going to add, first I'm going to add a little bit just right behind this, and that'll kind of keep it down. And then just a tiny bit under Courage. And then I'm going to put a strip on here across the top. And that'll hold the whole thing on here. But this way it won't, because we heat embossed it, you can see it's kind of bendy. So get this on here straight. Or try to get it straight, you know. How long can I get away from blaming everything on being tired and jet lagged? I just let that touch a fraction too soon. I also have a cat here on my nose. So just put this on here and then just kind of, now you can see right here a little bit where I added it, but because the way this paper is, it doesn't really matter. It's still a little bendy. Over time, it will flatten itself out. And especially if you're mailing it and putting it in an envelope. My daughter starts a new job on Monday. So the Bee of Good Courage would be great for somebody, graduation, retirement, new jobs, tests. So I'm going to take, this is the boho blue in color ribbon. And I'm going to just take this. It's a faux bow. It's a true faux bow. I do a lot of faux bows, but this one is going to look like we tied a bow, but it's going to be the easiest way that you can do it. I got my scissors. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of it. It also helps it kind of lay flat when you have a larger ribbon like this in your envelope. And I want this to be tiny, but this is fat ribbon. I thought about deconstructing it, but I don't have time. You can deconstruct it, and I have done that on a couple of different videos with this new ribbon, so you can go back and watch that if you want to see how. So make your knot tight, and then make your bow small. I'm going to trim this off. I need my scissors sharpened. My husband doesn't have anything else to do but sharpen my scissors. So now when I lay this on here, it's going to look like we tied that bow, but this was a whole lot easier. And this knot, I can control it and make it be a little flatter than if you wrap it around your card. That looks pretty good. Now, you would probably be better off to use glue, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to use my Seal, or Seal Plus even would hold that a little bit better. But now it looks like we tied a bow around the card, but we did not. Add this here. Fold those over. And so you can see that's a little bit flatter than if you just tie a big knot. And then put this one here. I do own a bone folder. My daughter was here the second week, and she was working in my studio, so stuff's been moved. It took me a minute to even find my adhesive. I had to use this at first because I couldn't find any adhesives. I didn't even know I had any of those left, but there was one of those. I don't see any bone folder. None. And I have bunches of them. So we have this. Now on the first one, I used the in color dots. On this one, I'm going to use and some of you are getting them. I'm 99% certain that it was one of the thank you gifts for that I have sitting over in a box. So I'm going to use all of the colors. These are the colors that it comes in, and it matches the paper. So let's start with the pink. Part of the reason I used the other one because it was a little bit heavier, I thought, and I thought maybe it would weigh it down. It didn't do anything. The vellum still came up, so. But it's also just fun to kind of see the different looks. Now, these come in 3 colors, and maybe this one's going to be a nail decoration instead. There we go. So if you use 2 of each, that's going to give you an odd number, and I don't like to use odd numbers. So I think I'll just do one of the whites, which are probably really hard for you to see on the table. And then I just took my Wink of Stella to kind of add a little bit of pop to the things on the top. I just brushed it over the insides of these. The Wink of Stella doesn't react to the embossing powder at all, so you're good to go on that. I did not do the little dots. I just did the actual flowers and the leaves. But if you want it shimmery, you can. This would be a pretty sympathy card. I would leave this off and probably the sequins off. And then I'm just going to take this, and there's other scriptures in there that you could also use for a sympathy card. So here's this one. So colored this way with those embellishments, and this paper has more of the blue. Now this is the busy part of the paper, but when you put the vellum over the top of it, it really does tone it down. I think it's a beautiful card. So this one I colored a little bit different, and you can see this one has the in color embellishments as opposed to the sequins. The in color embellishments, probably if you were going to go sympathy, would be a little bit more. Again, I would probably leave the Wink of Stella off. So, sympathy cards, and I probably would not add a bow. Sometimes when I'm doing sympathy cards, if you just do a simple knot, just tie the knot in the flat part when you add it. It kind of, if you just tone everything down, sympathy cards can be hard. But we can make them beautiful and still not make them be jazzy, because nobody wants a jazzy sympathy card, right? So that's what I have for you today. I'm not going to have another video. Next week, I'm going to start more in my schedule, and I am going to start on the Art of Stamping series. I will have the first club project up for June. So be watching next week when my life gets a little bit back in the normal vein. But have a great weekend. Bye.